Hello, and welcome to this video. My name is Brenda Campbell. I'm an artist and a certified Zentangle teacher. Today is Mindful Monday, and it does not matter what day you're watching. I post videos on Mondays, and I guide you through the 8 steps of the Zentangle method of drawing. It is a meditative art form. We do it for the calm, for the zen, for the mindfulness, but you can do it for the art if that's what you want. I kind of came into the Zentangle method because I was just enamored by all the visuals I saw when I first discovered it. And it didn't look difficult, but it looked pretty cool. So anyway, that was how I began. And I invite you to grab a pen and a pencil and a piece of paper and draw along with me today. Allow yourself to be surprised to find something pretty cool at the end of our journey. But remember, we're doing this for the journey. The 8 steps are going to help us to gain some mindfulness today. At least that is our goal. So we'll begin with step 1. In step 1, I'm going to guide you through a short breathing exercise to kind of help us get centered and to kind of land us here in this moment and prepare us for our drawing. So sit up straight and tall if you're able. Be comfortable though. And we're going to go ahead and take a deep breath in. And as you inhale, rise up, get tall. And then exhale and just relax everything on down. And another inhale, big air in. And exhale and just let your shoulders drop and relax your muscles. One final big breath in, rising up, getting tall. And exhale and relax down. And now just let your breath fall into a natural breathing rhythm. And pay attention to the breath. Follow it as it goes in and out. And with every exhale, try to relax a little bit more. Now take a moment and think about something that you are grateful for today. And when you have that thing, I want you to really hold on to it and feel into that gratitude. How does it feel? As we draw today, I want you to remember this feeling and bring it into your practice. And if you reach a point where you're just not sure what's next, or maybe your line went somewhere you didn't want, just stop yourself. Take another deep breath. And when you're ready, go ahead and begin drawing again. And I know everything will be better. And that is all there is to step 1. Now, before we go on to step 2, I want to kind of just talk you through a couple of things. Now, first of all, there are no mistakes in the Zentangle method. So there's nothing for you to fear. So I will be using a Zentangle tile, a square. This is their original tile. It's made of a very fine, lovely paper. And I'm going to be using a Sakura Micron PN pen. PN is for plastic nib, and the tip is made of plastic, which is good for people like me who like to use a lot of pressure because we have a heavy hand. I'm going to be using a pencil. You can use any pencil you can find, and a tortillon to blend out the graphite from my pencil. The tortillon is just kind of a rolled up piece of paper. You can buy them at hobby stores. That's where I can get mine. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and move on now to step 2, and we use our pencil. So step 2, I'm going to put a dot in each of the 4 corners of my tile. Step 3 is to create a border by connecting the dots. Step 4 is our string. We use a string quite simply to divide the space on our tile so that we have a place to put our patterns. So today's string is going to be 3 circles or partial circles. And I'm going to start at the bottom, whatever that is for you, and I'm going to make kind of most of a circle. It gets cut off by the border there. Then I'm going to turn my tile 90 degrees, and I'm going to draw another half circle. Then I'm going to turn it another 90 degrees, and I'm going to do another half circle. Like that. Okay, there we go. So we're finished with our pencils. We can put that away for now and pick up our pens. Like I mentioned, I'm going to be using a Micron PN pen today, and we are always using black in our Mindful Mondays. So the first thing I want to do with my pen is kind of create in this space where all 3 of these partial circles connect. It kind of looks like a triangle. So I'm going to kind of outline my triangle. It's got curvy sides, that's okay. But that's where I'm going to begin. And the next thing I'm going to do is create a pattern inside this triangle that is a paradox. It's going to kind of give us an optical illusion that we are going down deep, and it's going to create a bit of a hole. So we start at one point, and I'm curving it because my line is curved that I'm auraing, and I'm bringing it down to the next line. Then I'm going to turn my tile from that point where I left off. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So it's like an aura, but we bring it away at the bottom. It touches at the top, and then it brings a space at the bottom. And we're going to do that again. And each time we bring it in a little further, and we're simply going to continue this all the way down. Now, one trick for this pattern is to always use the same spot you left off. So if you didn't pick your pen up, let's say, it would be one continuous line. But that's what makes the pattern work. And you can just take this as far as you like. I think I'll leave it. Well, maybe I'll do one more in the center. Okay, so paradox, that is our first pattern. Now, with our pen and our tangles, we are doing step 5. So we've done the first one, which is paradox, and we're only going to do one of those. We're going to do the next tangle is called striping. Now we're going to put striping in these 3 sections that kind of come off from the sides of our center triangular shape. And I'm not going to draw an outline, but what I am going to do is draw my stripes. So I'm going to kind of make a little curve from the bottom, and then we're making a stripe. And we're just going to continue those stripes throughout the space of this string space here. And then I'm going to come over here and do the same thing on this one. Now I like to start at the corner of my center triangular shape when I make my first one, and I'm rounding it so that it kind of gives a little bit of dimension to my shape here. And we've got one more here. So these are essentially just oral lines I'm drawing. And I'm going to turn them into stripes now by filling every other stripe in with black. And I like to start the first one with black, the one that touches that center paradox tangle. I think that will kind of help us out the best. And then I'm just going to go, and every other aura section stripe is going to be solid black. And I'm using small circular motions with my pen. I kind of like slowly go over the outline, and then I can go a little faster in the center. But remember, filling a space in with solid ink can be just as meditative as drawing the lines. So take your time with this. And hopefully you'll get some zen here with this activity. And I'm going to go ahead and finish all of mine, but I don't want you to have to sit here and watch me do this. So I'm going to skip ahead till I'm done. And if you're drawing along, I hope you are, I want you to go ahead and pause the video and then take your time drawing and filling in all of your solid black stripes. And when you're done, then come back and unpause the video. And we'll be ready to move on to our next tangle. So if you're drawing along, go ahead and pause the video now. I am back. I have finished all of my black stripes in my striping pattern tangle. And what we're going to do now is to put 3 more tangles in here inside the rest of the circles. We're going to pick some very simple patterns. We don't have a lot of room. And we're going to begin with tipple. Tipple, as you know, is just a bunch of circles. And I'm going to go ahead and start this time by drawing a couple, just randomly putting them in here, different sizes, different positions. Some are bigger. And now I'm going to fill in behind. Okay, I'm sure that's plenty of tipple. This is a really strange one behind a little tiny one, but you know what? No mistakes. So that is our next tangle, tipple here. Now the next one we're going to do is going to be in Zeppel. And in Zeppel, I've already shown you one way to draw in Zeppel on my video. And what I'm going to do now is go ahead and do a variation of Enzeppel called Crazy Enzeppel. So the traditional, I guess I'll call it, version of Enzeppel is a grid with multiple different lines. This time I'm doing a grid, but I have no, there's no rhyme or reason to it, if you will. And we call that kind of a crazy grid, crazy Enzeppel. I think I'll do one more here. Okay, so I've got enough spaces. They're not going to be too small, which is nice. So I'm going to put one more line here. So I am going to go ahead now. I'm going to start with this shape here because you can see the whole thing. And this is how we're going to fill each one of these shapes. I start in the center between some corners, and when you get to the corner, you're going to round it. And then you basically draw right over the grid line, just rounding at each corner. Now this one I could draw as if it goes underneath, or I could just draw the shape. And I'm just going to draw the shape here. And the same thing over here. When I draw the crazy and simple tangle, it often looks to me like a bunch of rocks, these shapes. I got one more over here. Okay, so we only have one more section left. We finished our crazy and Zeppel over here. So I am going to put the pattern static in this space. And static, remember, is a zigzag. And so I just drew one zigzaggy line to begin. And now I'm going to fill in with auras. And when I have a line with a point, I like to start at the point and just do one side and then come back and do the other one. That helps me get a much more consistent aura line, especially in line with the points. So that's how I'm filling it in. And I'm just going to do one side at a time. Okay, now I've got that side pretty much done. So now I'm going to turn it upside down and do the other side. So we're finished with the tangle, step 5. We're finished with our pens. I'm going to put mine away for now. And we're going to go back to our pencil for step 6, which is the shading. Now I'm going to begin by shading my striping. And I'm going to come down here to the line and add a little bit of graphite right at the edge and pulling it in just a bit. And I'm just going to go around, do all of them at the same time. Do both sides. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pick up my tortillon, and I'm going to start blending that in, and I'm just going to kind of soften it up with my tortillon. I'm using light circular motion, and I'm kind of pulling it in a ways from the edge. Actually, I can cut back up here. You don't want to pull it in too far because you want to have some light to contrast against all of the shadow. Okay, so we're done shading our striping. And I have just this paradox here in the center to shade. And I'm not quite sure the best way to do it, but I think I am just going to start in the center and then kind of go around. And I'm just using what's left of the graphite on my tortillon. And this is basically, all this is doing is just adding a little bit of color to the center, to that paradox. But because it's so small, there's not a whole lot more we can do. Okay, moving on to tipple. With tipple, with my pencil again, I'm going to draw just this soft smile in the bottom corner of the larger tipples. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead. I like to do these upside down, and I'm going to blend that in just in that corner. And then I'm going to kind of, the ones I didn't put graphite in, I'm just going to fill them as I go around with what I have left. Doing a little bit of extra shadow where some of these go behind, but I'm not getting too crazy. All we do with our shading is just add some contrast and shades of gray. So I think we're done with tipple. I don't think it looks too bad. Just kind of fill that bottom in, maybe even get the edges a little bit extra. And I think we're good with that. So now going to our ensemble, it's very similar to the orbs, except they're not round. They're triangular or kind of wonky square shaped. So what I'm going to do is take and put a little bit of graphite on 2 of the sides. Depending on the shape, that kind of determines where I put it. I kind of make a little V in one corner, if that's what you want to call it. But I blend it out very much like I do my tipple. So now there are lots of different ways to shade every pattern, so I just show you one at a time typically, and that's what we're doing here. So I think that looks pretty good. So I have some dark in one corner and I have some light in the opposite corner. So that's how we're shading our crazy and supple, and we're finished with that. Okay, now static is our next and last tangle to shade. And you notice we have points. Some go up, some go down. What I start with is drawing a line of graphite right on the line where the points are. Usually they're straight, but remember, no mistakes. Okay, now that I've got that, I'm going to go every other section and add graphite to the whole section. Just lightly added. And now I've got my tortillon back out. And I just kind of blend out that graphite in the section that is, I guess we'll call it shaded from, you know, like the one side of the mountain is in the shade, the other is in the sun. These are little mountains. And that is the simplest shading for the tangle static. Okay, I'm going to do one last thing before I put my pencil away, and that is to come around these 3 triangles, the edges, and I'm going to add graphite outside right onto the tangle underneath. What this will hopefully do is to put these up above and give some more space between the patterns. It'll look more like this is on top. At least that's my goal. Now when you're shading, you want to be careful too you don't press too hard with the pencil, or you end up burnishing that graphite in, and then it becomes shiny and you kind of leave a little line in your paper. So that you want to avoid that if you can, but remember, no mistakes. It's just practice. That's all this is. Okay, now I've got my shading between the tangles here, and I think I'm missing something on this. So I'm going to go pick my pen back up, and remember, we did not draw straight lines over top of our pencil line, but I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And that will give us a nice darker line for our shadow. Some separation. It'll give us more separation. And at the same time, you can see where graphite slipped over onto this black. It kind of got dull and lighter, so I'm adding more black on top of those stripes. Okay, I think that's good. And that did add that extra pop, that extra darkness, I guess, to make that look even deeper in terms of how rounded it is where it meets the other patterns. So we're finished with step 6, our shading, and we're moving on to step 7, which is to initial and sign our tile. So I am going to put my initial, I guess I'm going to put it down here in this corner. And I'm just going to use my chop, which is a stylized version of my initials B and C. I like to add a few perfs there. Then I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to sign it. I will date it, but I'm going to do that off camera. And I'm going to list our patterns. Now, we had quite a few. We started with striping and paradox. And then we added tipple, crazy, and zeppel. And static. So that is our tile today. Step 8 is simply to sit back and appreciate and admire your work. Appreciate what you've done. Appreciate that you've taken some time for yourself today, and that you've got some calm and hopefully a little bit of mindfulness. So thank you for joining me today. I really hope you did draw along, and I want to remind you, as I always do, until next time, be you and be happy.